Excellent, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Oh, come on. It's been a long couple of days, but you're still here. Let's do it one more time. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Very much better. Thank you so much. My name is Dave Crane. I've got a lot to share with you today. So if you join in and make it interactive, that always makes it better.
Welcome to Speak on Stage with Dave Crane, the podcast where we unpack the art and science of public speaking to help you command the stage with confidence and authority. I'm your host, Dave Crane, and as a seasoned speaker, coach, and entertainer, I've had the privilege of helping thousands of individuals like you to unlock their true potential on stage all around the world. Each week, we'll bring you candid conversations with industry experts, successful speakers, and thought leaders, delving into proven strategies, practical tips, and personal anecdotes to empower you to become a captivating communicator. So whether you're a seasoned pro looking to refine your skills, or a beginner taking your first steps onto the stage, this podcast is your go-to resource for mastering the craft of public speaking. So grab your notepad, open your mind, and get ready to amplify your impact as we embark on this journey together. Welcome to Speak on Stage with Dave Crane. Together, let's jump and grow wings on the way down.
How many people have ever seen me before? Put your hands up if you have. Excellent. How many people have never seen me before? Okay. How many people don't care if you never see me again for the rest of your life? As long as we're honest here, I want to share with you some ideas that maybe you haven't come across before. Maybe some ideas that will make you think differently about how you do stuff. If you like to play my presentation, that makes my job a lot easier as well. Don't worry about the first slide. Go to the next one, which has got my name on it.
I have been participating in Dave.
Like that. Okay, there you go. So in big lights, you can see my name, just in case you didn't hear me say it properly 5 times. So what I want to do is share with you a number of different concepts. Now, here's the thing. How many people here are working for an organization and you're doing internal audit? Right. How many people are working externally as a freelancer running your own business and you've had to go out and fight for business? A couple of people. Now, I'm going to talk about a number of different areas, not so much about sustainability, a little bit about AI, but more than anything, I want to talk about you and the changes that are happening, because ultimately the only thing that really matters is what happens to you during that time. We had some amazing speakers. I love the stuff that Tracy was sharing with us and the speakers we've had until then. But really, it's that question about what happens next. When the challenges come to you, what does that mean? Now, I know you're thinking, who's Dave Crane? Why is he talking so much? And yesterday I went on stage talking to one of the world's biggest Medicare companies. And when I talked to them earlier, the lady said, how can I introduce you? So I just said off the top of my head, well, I was trained by ninjas. And also, I'm a hypnotist, which is actually true. And I look like Bob Marley. So she went out on stage and she said that in front of everybody. So that's the weirdest introduction. If you don't know who I am, then let me share with you exactly who I am right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've hosted over 1,000 events, and there's nothing more exciting or nerve-wracking than getting to introduce one of the best in the business. He's an award-winning international motivational speaker and coach. He's worked with celebrities like James Brown and Bruce Willis.
And I'm Jack Canfield. And I'm Brian Tracy.
And I'm John Gray. I'm Jared Robbins.
And I'm Perry Marshall.
Hi, I'm George Green.
To audiences of over 1 billion people. He's sharing how to become unstoppable in business. It's my honor to introduce to you Dave Crane.
Massive ego. Now here's one thing I'm going to say. I haven't really got a massive ego. I was watching every other presenter that was on earlier, and if you stare at this, you get vertigo. So if I kind of stand like that, it might make it easier, or just look at me. It'd be much easier than staring at the thing going round. I'm going to share with you how to become unstoppable. And in that journey today, I want to share with you how to get from imposter syndrome to become an industry icon. For many of you, it will be kind of weird to have this conversation because, of course, your job's perfectly safe. AI is not going to change anything, and there's no chance of a pandemic. But the last couple of years have shown us that maybe things do alter. And so it's so important to feel and think differently. Now, before we continue, we've got a special gift for everybody here. Just get the phone out, get the QR code, tap on it, and put your details in, and you can instantly download this 10 strategies guaranteed to fast track your career, which helps you to overcome imposter syndrome, create a brand, dominate on LinkedIn, do public speaking, and a number of other skills that nobody tells you how to do, but I will tell you today. If your phone's not on the internet, then just take a screenshot of it and you can tap on it later on, or whatever you want to do. Has everyone got a copy now? I can move on. People are still staring at me. You're not very interactive today, are you? It's because you had too much lunch. And I had as well. Stop looking. Okay, so with that, let's go through our agenda. Our agenda is pretty simple. I want to make you unstoppable today. How many people want to be unstoppable? 4 people. That's not a good sign. When you don't put your hand up, is that because it's quite warm in the room and you're getting patches underneath? Is that? No? Okay. So I'm going to then empower you and as well create a brand new game and a new framework to think about. And as we do that, as promised, I'm going to help you to overcome imposter syndrome. If you have it, and 92% of people do have imposter syndrome, and most people probably don't know what it is, but you do have it in some capacity. I'm going to teach you to become a great storyteller, and as I do that, watch the unstoppable you as we move forward. Now, I don't know if you've seen this slide before. This is from the World Economic Forum. These are the skills that they say everybody's got to have in 2023. Now, you have got some of those already. It's built in. Quality control, analytical thinking, fantastic. Every single auditor should be capable of doing that. But there's some other challenges there that most people don't know or don't have, because they've had years and years of experience being super qualified. But guess what? AI can do the same job as you, faster, for free. So the thing that you need to work on is you. Your positioning in the world, your positioning in your organization, and you have to make yourself, and there's a phrase here, unsackable. Now, I know I'm talking about it, and right now the last thing you want to think about is that, but my own experience has been completely different. I've been blessed to be in Dubai for 30 years. I've made some really incredible friends, and they're here today. It's great to see you, and we were talking yesterday. I can't tell you about the conversation. I might tell them later on. You should, I know what. So, I've been here 30 years, and as a speaker, I've hosted Dubai Rugby Sevens for 20 of those years, been a motivational, a hypnotist, all those things, radio, TV, and then the pandemic came along and changed everything. So if you think that everything will just stay the way it is, get used to being uncomfortable. It's a really cool place to be. So we've got a smart plan for you today. So I'm going to start that smart plan right now. Is that okay? Yes. Oh, come on. This guy's over here. I know you're very quiet because you think I can't see you. You've got to jot. In fact, let's do one thing. Let's get the last episode of the conference to be really, really bouncy, because we're filming it and it's streaming everywhere. So people who didn't come here, we want them to say, no, we should come here. So I'm going to split the audience into 2 halves. This is team number 1. This is team number 2. Team number 1, I want you to make some noise by cheering, clapping, whatever works. And team number 2, I want you to be able to beat this. So team number 1, 1, 2, 3, go! I can tell your auditors, they're so polite, it's like that. Okay, team number 2, 1, 2, 3, go! Oh yeah. And let's put it all together, 1 and 2, like one big happy family with different dads. 1, 2, 3, go! Right. And that's all I'm going to do for the next half an hour. No. So, we're starting looking at who you are and what you do. And I know that AI is massive, and some of you, how many people have been on ChatGPT? How many people have not been on ChatGPT? Oh, hoping it'll go away. Good luck with that. Sustainability, I won't spend too long on sustainability because basically we've had some much smarter people than me talking about this all the way through today. So what I want to look at is great opportunities that are here for every single person in this room when you start thinking differently. And to start thinking differently means getting out of your comfort zone, or as I like to put it, jump and grow wings on the way down. That's how I've led my life, and it really kind of works when you're facing crisis or wanting to upgrade your position. So what's all that about? Well, let me put you through a crash course. What does society value most? I was going quiet again. I'm hoping that's because you're interested, not because you got bored. I'll wait for the snoring. No, we're good. Society values this: status. The more status you have, and this is every nationality for thousands of years, every color, creed, religion, doesn't matter, any country, the same thing, status. And status looks like this. Now, if you want to take pictures of any of the slides, feel free, help yourself. Here is a gift for you, just help yourself to those. If you want to get a copy of the slides, I will sell you them for a fortune. So take the pictures now. So there's a couple of things you need to look at. First of all, society values the dominance of what you do. Dominance would be like Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo in football, just the best footballers in the world probably ever. Success is the amount that you've shown that you really know what you're talking about. That would be like an Elon Musk in tech. And virtue is your ability to prove that you live and breathe and you walk the talk. This would be like the Pope, or it would be like Michelle Obama, or somebody who lives and breathes everything they believe in. Our leaders in this wonderful country do that every single day, and that's what's kept me here for such a long time. But how do you do that for yourself? Well, it's very simple. You don't have to be the best in the world at it. If you're good at it and you dominate it, be warm when you share ideas with others. And when people want to know that you're very good at it, freely give your expertise, even to the competition sometime. It positions you, there's plenty for everybody. Think abundance. And last but not least, sincerity. I never tell a lie, I never do. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but I don't. Why? Because they say that for every lie you tell, you've got to tell another 15 to keep it afloat. And then for that 15, you've got to tell them, I'm not that smart. That's my wife, she'll tell you. It's easier just to be telling the truth from the beginning, and that's the easiest way to do it. So with your status, then you've got to create a personal brand around you, internally and externally. Remember, this is about making you unsackable, but also how many people would like to earn more money in your job? Oh, there's only a few more hands went up there. Some people go, oh no, I get too much anyway, it's ridiculous. All right. Not too many. Here's the thing, right? Do you know why you get paid what you get paid? There's a formula for it. I know you guys love formulas. Anybody want to shout it out? The gentleman at the back is far too far. What is it? You can email me. I'll have a... No, it doesn't matter. Okay, I'll put you out of your misery. There's two things. You get paid, first of all, for the effect of a job that you do. And secondly, for how easily you can be replaced by somebody else. Think about that. The job you do, and how easy it is to replace you with somebody else. So therefore, it's not good enough doing your job. You've got to make sure you do your job and people know about it, because they can't get somebody else to do what you do. So your personal brand is what you build to protect you with that. And that's about what others people say when you're not in the room. So when you leave, you want them to know that you don't have to justify yourself. So here's the first question. Who are you? Don't shout it out. Don't show me your business cards. You are not your business card, by the way. You are you. But the challenge for most people is we go for a thing called the Lucky Life Lottery. And everybody in this room has been in it. You don't control the location of where you're born. You don't control the race. You don't control the affluence you have from your parents or whoever it is. You also can't control the connections that your family name brings. You can't control your spiritual beliefs. You get what you're given. Nationality, gender preference, your physicality, your traditions, and also, last of all, your existing influence. These just happen. And some of us get it better than others. Some of us have to start on the back foot and keep moving forward. So when people tell them, you know what, you've got the same opportunities as everybody else, you haven't. I never had the same opportunities, but I have got the opportunities to be all I can be, looking like this. Trained by ninjas, hypnotist who looks like Bob Marley. So you've got to work out who you are. Now, imposter syndrome is that fear that you're not good enough. Many people have this. In fact, we'll do a little survey. How many people have ever experienced imposter syndrome and had a voice in their head saying you're not as good as you think you are? Okay. Everybody else is supremely confident, and the rest of the presentation makes no sense to you, clearly. Everybody goes for it. 92% of people when surveyed have some form of imposter syndrome. So therefore, after today's session, you've got to create the version of you. Now that's difficult. Because when you've got tradition, you've got family, and especially if you've been to school with the same people, and also LinkedIn and social media drives you to be a certain way, to impress everybody. But that's not necessarily the way it should be. I'm going to show you 3 ways that you are branded, and the third one will turn you into a superhero. Does anybody want to be a superhero? Yeah. There's a woohoo superhero, that's a perfect one, it's the best one, goes woohoo. But here's the thing, we're born and we get a birth certificate. Your birth certificate says who you are according to the knowledge that they have of you, which is where you were born, what your full name is, and also what the date is. And we build ourselves based on that. So for me, mine's David Maxwell Crane. You can see me there, that's my dad, that's my mum, and the cushion with a face on it is me. Then you get a chance to build a second version of you, the social media version of you. That's the one that you create, you invent. So that would be for me, Dave Crane. So Dave Crane, who's, it's just stopped there, let me go back. It froze a little bit. There you go. There's me and my wife and my daughter. Dave Crane, successful, does all the stuff you saw in that video, happy days, there you go. But here's what the challenge is, when the pandemic hit, and I was doing all the stuff that I was doing, hosting big events, traveling around the world, doing TV, radio. After the pandemic disappeared and people were coming out again, I wasn't ready to go back to work. It was part of me. How many people have heard of burnout? And some of you might have experienced burnout, yeah? I had a thing called burn-in, which means that you still keep going, but it's like your car is stuck in the sand, but you're still revving the engine. Not catching traction because the events hadn't happened again. But I was still fighting for it because as a speaker with my full income coming from there and phone calls all the time, Dave, come and do this event, it went to 0. My wife, top wedding photographer, 0 for 2 years. So as a therapist and as a life coach, I thought, well, how do I fix this? How do I deal with the fact that I don't really know how to step up? And I thought, well, Dave, you're a hypnotist, what would you do next? And I realized there's a third version of me. The third version of me is when I'm at my best. Because I'm an introvert, I'm pretty quiet most of the time. In my house, I'm the bottom of the food chain. I've got my wife, my daughter, and I've got 2 dogs. I feed the dogs, I'm at the bottom. But in order to step up and make sure the family is okay, because for most of the people in this room, you are like a table that holds up the family, and the family are on it. If it wobbles or it drops, everything drops. You've got to make it work. Is that true for people in here? So you get this. And I realized that Dave Crane wasn't strong enough to go back into battle. I was wounded badly after 2 years of no work. Scrambling, I did 200 live shows on LinkedIn during those times to say I'm still relevant. Many of them paid, most of them unpaid. So I thought, well, when am I at my best? When I'm here. I can deal with anything. I can deal with clickers not working, the microphone not working, anything. So I decided what I do is hand my life over to Dave Crane's new version, which is the bit on stage that's got a microphone. And I created a power name. My power name was Max, it's my middle name. So whenever I had to deal with something challenging, I didn't feel up for it, I asked Max, what would you do? Knowing that version of me, I know I sound crazy saying it, but how many people get what I'm talking about? When you go in a zone and you're really good at something, maybe the name you had when you were at school, a version of you that steps up, what goes to the gym or is really good at handling stuff on a computer, that version of you. I decided to ask Max whenever I get stuck and say to Max, what do you think I should do? And the deal was I had to do what Max told me. Otherwise I'd kill that part of my mind. So when clients turn around to me and say, I'm not sure if I'm going to hire you or pay you, I would say, Max, what do you think I should do? And Max would say, give him 24 hours. So I thought, well, 24 hours? So I did that. And some said yes, and some said no, but I didn't care about the ones that said no, because I filled that gap with other people. Now, James Bond, for anybody who enjoys James Bond, and there's a new one on the way, don't know who yet. And you probably guessed it's not going to be me. But James Bond gets reinvented for every single time there's a challenge. So reinvent yourself for the new AI sustainability world. Now I'm going to throw myself back into where you are right now. What makes a truly great leader? Now we've talked about it, and there was a brilliant presenter on last night who was talking about leadership. And there's a couple of things that were mentioned today as a result of that. But I think a leader does a couple of things really well. A leader always asks better questions than anybody else to get an understanding of what happens next. And then as a result of those questions, they give better answers. Does that make sense? So as a leader, yeah, you've got to make sure people follow you into battle, but sometimes great leaders don't have a team. They're on their own. All the great leaders we look at, whether it's Mahatma Gandhi or Nelson Mandela or whoever it would be, they were on their own most of the time. Yes, I had people who came back and said, "You're our guru." But not of the time. They had to make decisions, and most of the time, that's what you go through. So what you have to win is a battle of effective communication. What you say to people, what makes a difference. So we're going to test that. I'm going to spend 2 minutes on this. Silent storytelling. I'm going to say nothing. Apart from do it. See? It works. I'll read it out in case you can't see it. You can't wash your eyes with soap. You can't breathe through your nose with your tongue out. Try that. I got you good. All right, let's move on to something else. You're smiling because you feel silly, but it was fun, and that's all right. Life can be fun. Ah. Okay. If you're ready to move on, was that fun? Give yourselves a round of applause, those who took part in it. Those who didn't take part in it, I'm very expensive, I'm not coming back again. So I'm telling you that now. In fact, I was here about 8 years ago, I think it was. How many people saw me then? I wasn't so grey, I was taller then, and a little bit thinner. Yeah, there we go. So, okay, so there you go. Now let's talk about how you deal with your customers. Now some of you are running your own business, some of you, your business is internal. Your customers have departments that you deal with, especially with GM. Often the GMs don't respect you as much as they should do. And we had a conversation, I was chatting to my dear friend, Mr. Mansour and Sheikh Musa yesterday, who sat with me at dinner, and thank you so much for chatting to me. Normally people just stare at me, but you guys were very gracious with your time. And I suggested that maybe, just maybe, auditors should reinvent themselves as the Jedi of each company. Now, as I realized I said that, many people have no idea what a Jedi is. Who saw Star Wars? You know the guys with lightsabers? That's a Jedi. They don't fit in with everything, but they're there to keep the order, and they're there to make it work. Have a think about that. I won't spend too long on it, because there's not enough nerdy people in the room to get it. But you've got to think, who's your target avatar? Every time you go into a department, every time you go outside of your company, who is it you're dealing with? When you're dealing with them, what's in it for them? I know it's what's in it for you. You've got to turn around. And often, the auditors scare everybody. You walk in and it actually feels like Darth Vader from Star Wars has walked in the building. But that's not the point. You've got to ask that question, what's in it for them? With every relationship, with your partner, with your kids, with everybody. Because if you worry about what's in it for them and you get that right, they will always love you and want to work with you. If you think about what's in it for you, nobody cares. You don't care who I am. Why should you? But you do care what I share with you, and it's got value. Same for everybody else. So here's how it works. Every client, every person you deal with has got a headache. They're wondering who can fix it. And they're saying, is that person the best fit? And then if I work with them, is my headache fixed? Can I get somebody cheaper? And if they can't get somebody cheaper, then they will buy you. They will work with you. And it doesn't have to be about the money. It's the effect that you have. But nobody will know until you've grown your brand and your relationship and your communication skills with people. That makes you the best choice. But why should avatars want to work with you? There's a skill I'm going to teach you now called epic and persuasive storytelling. How many people are good at storytelling? Okay? Deeply hotter in here because the arms have gone down even more than before. Storytelling is like a martial art of business. You tell great stories and people buy into you, especially business stories. Now here's the reason why. When you give facts and figures and rule the law and tell them what we should do, you make them kind of deal with it. And under a PET scan, about 2 parts of the brain light up. When you tell them a story, you ease the pressure of hurting their feelings, but you light up about 7 different parts of their brain, so they retain it and remember. How many people remember fairy tales from when you were a kid? You retain them, even though if I asked you now and told you the name, you'd be able to tell him kind of a story because it has a different impact. That's why becoming an auditor and communicating but telling stories is so important. So I'm going to give you a crash course in storytelling. Is that okay? Yeah. Fantastic. You can come back next time. Thank you. If in between each slide, if you can sit somewhere else to make it look like I'm really popular, that would be brilliant. All right. So the slides have gone off the screen. Have I pressed the wrong button for the screens to go off? It was a great presentation, but you're never going to see it, so what can I say? Is it back again? Is it just frozen? Hold on, he says. Oh, he's waving at me. I like you as well. There we go. So who's your target avatar, and what's in it for them, and why am I feeling deja vu? Alright, so why should avatars work with you? I'm just wondering whether it's going to go to the next slide without cutting off, and it has. I'm going to how many people watch movies, or have ever watched a movie in their life? A couple of Netflix people. Anybody who's never watched a movie in their life? In which case, I can't help you with the next 5 minutes of what I'm going to share. Get yourself Netflix. You'll knock yourself out. It'll be really good for you. Alright, anyway, Hollywood's best kept secret, and most people don't know this, but I'm going to share it with you. There's a thing called the hero's journey, and it's an epic way of telling stories. I'm going to go through exactly what it means. Afterwards, you tell me which hero, which movie, which story we're talking about, or heroine, same thing. So you've got somebody who's really good at something, and they're in a normal, ordinary world. They're a bit geeky, a bit nerdy, and people don't really respect them, but when they do their thing, they're very good. Then something happens. It might be they need to go to a prom and there's a girl that they really find attractive that they want to go and meet. It could be that aliens invade. It could be that they're playing football but they miss a penalty and they need to be able to learn to be better at football. Anything like that. Then they can step up their game but they refuse to do it. Then the mentor comes along. The mentor is usually Morgan Freeman, Kevin Costner, Yoda, that kind of person, me. Okay? I'm not saying I'm Yoda, by the way, so take that off the video. Alright. Then, they eventually agree to go with the mentor and they take him to a new world. Crossing the threshold into somewhere completely different. I'm not ignoring you guys on this side, but I've only got short arms, so just imagine I was there. Bob Marley, blah, Trey Van Ninja. Anyway. Alright. So then they go through a number of different challenges. They get things right, they get things wrong, they fight stuff, they do whatever, and the roller coaster ride is a learning curve. Then they get to here, and they approach the innermost cave, which is something big that's going to happen to them. They fight the big problem, the aliens. It's prom night to meet that girl. They've got a penalty, time's run out, they've got to take the kick. And then they go forward to do it. And as they go forward to do it, something goes wrong. And they die, or somebody they love dies, or they feel completely upset. But then they find themselves again. They get resurrected, and they get the goal, they meet the girl, they banish the aliens, and then they decide with the elixir, the perfume, the gift, whether they're going to go home, or go onto the distance and do something else. Tell me a story that reminds you of. Sorry? Spider-Man, great one, Spider-Man. Anything else? Jumanji, maybe. Jumanji, I've never heard that being called that before, but I'm glad you like it. Anything else? Wow, this is fun. Sorry? Grand Look, this is 99% of Hollywood movies. Have the same plot. Next time you go to see one, watch, it's the same thing. But then you've got to ask a character, which character are you? As the auditors in this room, which character do you play out of all these things? How many people are the hero? Again, I'm looking for arms to go up. You never do that anyway. Just nod if you agree with me. That's all. I'll wiggle your ears if you're very talented. That's fine as well. Okay, here's the thing. And it's a shocker. And it was one of the things that really hit me more than anything is no, that's not true. You're the mentor. You are the mentor in your organization. You're the mentor. Your character is looking after the client. The client is the department's head. Or the GM, or the organizer that you're dealing with, they are the hero of their own story. Your job is to advise them. It's a massive game changer. Because what happens next is when you look at who that hero is, to make it interesting when you tell stories, every hero has a core wound. That means something that they have to get over that carries with them all the time. So it could be a recession, it could be AI, it could be sustainability, whatever it is, every hero's got that. In fact, some of the biggest stars we've ever met in the world all have imposter syndrome and a core wound that they had to overcome to get where they need to be. In fact, to be honest with you, that's me, at the age of 13, 14. My core wound was front and center. I had massive imposter syndrome. Why? I was the only black kid in the town, city, sometimes a county. And to prove myself and who I was going against the grain. Nobody would ever pick me. Doesn't matter what I did. How many people have ever felt this before for themselves? I know that for the ladies in the room, you felt this with gender. And for many of the people in the room, you felt that you have to do so much before anyone pays attention, and you've got to do better than everybody else. Otherwise they'll say, well, we should never have got you there. I felt that my entire life, and I've had to work through that my entire life. But it's important that you have that core wound, because if you didn't have it, how would you know that you've grown? So I'm going to show you very quickly. This is the plot, and I won't go through this for too long. I've got about 9 minutes left. Harry Potter, Star Wars, Matrix, Spider-Man, Lion King, Lord of the Rings, every single one of them, same plot. Same thing that happens. The mentor jumps out. Who's the mentor this time? Okay, who's it? Obi-Wan. It's Morpheus. It's Gandalf. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Hagrid. All those different characters. If you've never seen a movie, I've just spoken a different language to you. But everyone else, strokey chin, you know what I'm talking about. It's the same plot that gets used. I'm sharing this with you because when you're talking to people, explaining what you do as an auditor and the difference you're making, they are the hero. You're there to help. And you take them on a journey to make it easier for them. And you do it in simple steps. You don't have to use all these steps. But you start off by saying, once upon a time. You don't say that to a client. You don't say that to another. But think about it. You set the scene. And then you introduce what their big challenge is. And then you say you understand the fear of what they're going through, but you've got a solution that's going to make it a lot easier. And then you say somebody else you've worked with had a similar situation, but you managed to fix it for them. And then you can add the thing, but there are a couple of challenges, but we also worked through that, so don't worry about how bad you might feel with it. And then you say, that's how we fixed it, we raised our game. And then if you want at the end of it with all your clients, you can say happily ever after. It will be weird if it's a GM, I'm telling you now. But they might like it, in which case you can tuck him into bed with a biscuit, they'll be happy. It's a weird GM, forget that job. Okay, so I hope you've got that so far. There's one other bit I want to share with you. And something that Tracy was sharing earlier about the now and then. A messaging map for each of your departments, for each of your clients. How you write it is this. You start off with now, and you move on to what happens in the future. And that becomes your elevator pitch, and that becomes the whole point in the message you're sharing. So I don't expect you to do this right now, but what I do want to share with you is you work out their problems of their avatar, of them right now. So right now, you're hemorrhaging money, you've got lots of challenges, blah, blah, blah. But then you work out what's their future look like. So imagine in the future when you're making lots of money, there's no gaps and your staff are happy and all the rest of it. All you do is tell that story to them when you're explaining exactly what it is that you're going to do. I'm going to take you from hemorrhaging money, all the challenges, that you get with staff into a different place where you'll find A, B, C, and D. If you write them all out, you get that. Combine them both, and that makes a message. And if you're still a little bit stuck, put together a roadmap strategy of 4 to 7 points of what they need to do, starting off with where they are right now, not knowing where they should be, and then where they need to be, which is that they've got a fully audited organization that works really well. And last night as we were discussing things, there's another little tip that most of you don't do. If you want to be more invaluable to the GM and you want to be better paid and safeguard your job better, every single thing that happens, go to them and be on the front line of decision making for that. Don't wait to get called later on to go and see where people messed up. Prove to them with a really good story why getting you in first is so important to the organization, and then you are step by step closer to the board of director position, which you deserve to have. So with that, then you add an elevator pitch. So that's for now and the future, and I got all this from ChatGPT, by the way. I won't read it out because I've not read it before. But if you put in the now and future of any organization and the job that you're going to do, you'll find that this works. This is the idea of auditing a bank and getting them to embrace. How many people work with banks? Right, fantastic, excellent. Well, you should have taken a picture of this because it's just about to go. But you can use ChatGPT and do it for yourself as well. So the elevator pitch to the boardroom would be this. We'll evolve your bank with AI and sustainability, transforming from outdated to industry leading, enhance your reputation, attract clients, and gain efficiency, and confidently step into a future of banking with our guidance. That's what makes you so important. It's now to future. That's what you do with every client. So then they understand why they need to work with you. And it doesn't matter what the client is, work out the now and future, and it still has relevance. And you're thinking, Dave, what do I do? Well, once you leave here, ask yourself the 100 hardest questions that you get asked about your job. And once you've got them, write them down, a list. And then think of a case study that you've worked on, or Google a case study, or look at something that's in the news that trends relating to that, and write down a story about that. Then you can say, yeah, I know what you're going through, but Elon Musk went for a similar thing at Twitter. Well, that's not a great example. But you can use other examples about what it is that you've been through to tell that story and tailor it to each avatar, each client, each person that you're working with. And once you've got this bank of stories, just rinse and repeat. Use them for everybody until you've got them ingrained, and you become invaluable because you will be that person who's not only seen as a leader, but the best communicator in your company. And that means you're invaluable to the organization. And that means you can get paid more money. And they might not notice that until somebody else headhunts you. And they say, no, stay. And you go, more cash. I'm going to finish with my story. Just to tell you a story that's completely true. As you've probably worked out, my name is Dave Crane. I've said it about 5,000 times. But I want to share it in context. Has anybody here ever been so lost that you stopped believing in yourself? Mine was during the pandemic. It was so difficult. That's why I say jump and learn to grow wings on the way down. I want to share with my complete story. I'm completely honest. Everything I share with you is completely true. So I've always felt like an imposter. I moved to Dubai because I worked for the BBC when I was in the UK, and we wouldn't give me a staff job after 3 years of being a freelancer. This is a true story. I went onto a TV show called Blind Date in the days when reality TV was just starting. 20 million people saw me win that show. I went back into the BBC the next day. I was working as a news reporter, and I said, what do you think? And they sacked me. It's true. They said, clearly your direction is elsewhere. We don't think you should stay here. I was hoping they'd say, we think you're great. Let's give you more opportunities. That's not what happened. So that's me, very small. But as I went through my career, I got better and better at doing my stuff. Hosting Dubai Rugby Sevens I've worked with over 1 billion people seeing me on big screens around the world, including working with James Brown, the godfather of soul. So the stuff that I've done has been pretty big. And for me, it's been a revelation, very exciting. I effectively became unstoppable until the pandemic. and everything stopped. I don't know how many people experienced this, and for many people, you never experienced it. Yeah, you work from home, that's fine. Or maybe you take a bit of a cut in salary until we work it out, but you get to see more of your family. Imagine if you had nothing coming in, and the whole world just stopped moving. Really scary. That was me. My entire career was based on positioning myself as the best that I could be in entertainment, and nobody wants live entertainment for 2 years. So what do? I had to keep working. I've got a family there that needs feeding, school fees. They're not cheap. Rent, cars, dogs to look after, and your mental well-being is part of that challenge as well. So after 2 years of making it work, eventually an event came up. And I was offered, in fact I knocked on doors to get the door opened, the World Club Cricket, the T20 ICC cricket. Did anyone see that on TV? Because there's something like 1.3 billion people watched it, but none in this room again. You're going to go home and Google Spider-Man as I seen we left it, and Darth Vader, forget it. So that was me. The challenge was being able to go on stage and learn to do cricket. Cricket's not my sport. Doesn't matter, I've done rugby and football, but I had to be there to do it. But this is what it looks like when you are at a cricket match. If this starts, then we'll see. No, it didn't start. Thank you. None of my videos played. Did you pour water over? Doesn't matter. Okay, so that night, after doing my first cricket match, 4:30 in the morning on October the 21st, 2021, I'm getting back into it. I've got about 8 matches to go. Done the first one, it's kind of okay. The phone rang at home. My wife said, that's a home phone. I thought, nobody rings that. So I picked it up. Hello, 4:30. And it was St. Mary's Hospital in Leeds in the UK. And the doctor said, your dad's got COVID, he's going to die. There's nothing we can do. He's got complications anyway. We've given as much oxygen as we can do. He's not going to make it. Can you ring around your family and friends and get them there? So I rang my family. For them in the UK, it's 1:30 in the morning. And I got a nurse who had Zoom on her phone to be able to get me to say goodbye to my dad. And shortly after, he was gone. So I had to get back into the saddle. I had a gig to do because I wanted to show the world I'm still doing gigs. My wife said, take 2 days off. So I took 2 days off. And it was brutal. But then I went back to work because I had to make it work. And I got Max to do the rest of my gigs. What's a life lesson for this? Life lesson for me, it's not what happens to you, it's what you choose to do next. You've got AI, you've got other challenges, things that are going to hit you, things you've not even thought about. But prepare for them. And when they come, think big and get the solutions that you need to make them work. So what did I do? Well, first of all, I decided that I'd teach everybody to become unstoppable. So if you follow what I shared with you today, you'll be unstoppable too. Give yourselves a round of applause for being unstoppable. And the other thing I did was I created a thing called the Industry Icon Program, when I showed people around the world how to position themselves as the best in their industry and grow their brand, and create a community so nobody should ever be on their own ever again. Now, I gave you a free gift earlier, which you've seen, and for some reason my slides keep sticking, which will serve me right for spending so much time putting them together, so they get it right over there. But not to worry, professional moves on, Max is in charge. I did promise you I'd go through all these different things, empower you, teach you get through imposter syndrome, show you a new way of positioning yourself, and also understand that you can do anything when you put your mind to it. That's why it's been a pleasure spending this quality time with you. You are amazing, you are unstoppable. This is just the beginning. My name is Dave Crane. Thank you for being an amazing audience. Thank you. And I think I'm the last person on stage. Is anybody going to take... Oh, there we go. A round of applause, please, for Miss Samuel. She's doing an incredible job, please. Without you, we'd be nothing, but thank you so kindly.
Thank you for tuning into another insightful episode of Speak on Stage with Dave Crane. We hope you found today's conversation inspiring and packed with valuable insights to help you to amplify your presence on stage too. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more aspiring speakers just like yourself. Remember, the stage is your platform to shine, and with the right tools and mindset, you can captivate any audience anywhere. So keep honing your craft, refining your message, and never shy away from the spotlight. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we'll dive even deeper into the world of public speaking and performance. Until then, keep speaking, keep shining, and keep making an impact. This is Dave Crane signing off. See you next time on Speak on Stage.
Okay, this is team number 1 over here. Team number 2 over here. Not quite so many, but you look beautiful.
And there's nothing more exciting or nerve-wracking than getting to introduce one of the best in the business.
If you really want to become unstoppable, you need to be able to get rid of all that stuff and be present in this space as you.
He's an award-winning international motivational speaker and coach. He's worked with celebrities like James Brown and Bruce Willis.
And I'm Jack Canfield. And I'm Brian Tracy.
And I'm John Gray. I'm Jared Robin.
And I'm Perry Marshall.
Hi, and I'm George Regan.
So you get 86,400 seconds in every day. Imagine every single one of them had a dollar sign. That's the money that you were given every single day to spend $1 a second on what you want to have. The next day you get the money back again, but you can't carry it on and you can't add it up. What have you bought with your money today?
To audiences of over 1 billion people. He's sharing how to become unstoppable in business. It's my honor to introduce to you Dave Crane.
Your ability to speak and sell is paramount. Everybody in this room has this ability anyway. You use it. But everybody else outside is going to have to learn to do this too. You're going to have soft skills.
I wish I had more time.
Inspiring. It was amazing.
I love people who are out of the box. First of all, he's hysterical.
How many people have seen Titanic before? The movie? Okay, how many people? Keep your hand up. Keep your hand up. How many people have only seen it once? Only twice? 3 times? 4 times? 5 times? 6, 7, 8. Have you not got Netflix or anything else to watch?
Absolutely amazing.
How he's able to reach and connect with his audience.
He is super powerful.
A totally new level.
It's amazing.
Talks to you and not through you.
Because everything that we learn in the corporate world or learn at school is completely wrong about the way that we should be successful in the future.
You could have heard a pencil drop.
If you get to be coached by him or do any business with him, you are one lucky person.
Trust me. Go to Dave for anything that you want to do.
Every single person on the planet needs to find a way to work with Dave.
He's an amazing man. I can't wait to work with him more in the future. Dave, you're amazing.